I'm not sure. Muscles Gatton, author of The Untold Truth. There. You happy? How you doing, Muscles?
Good, good. How was your Thanksgiving, sir?
It wasn't the best Thanksgiving. It wasn't the worst Thanksgiving. How was yours, sir?
Wasn't too bad. It was another day, another dollar. Thankfully, I get paid. I got paid for not working, so it's great.
Oh, good on you. The food wasn't great this year. I was just telling you, I just had dinner before we recorded. I'm pretty sure I got food poisoning from that as well. It's not been a good run for your boy. Yeah, I'm pretty much at rock bottom. How you doing?
Brother, I think you just need to switch to the liquid diet at this point. It sounds like that's going to be the best option. You want me to come over? I can bird feed you if you really want me to.
It might come down to that, Muscles. It just might come down to that, sir. You never know. I'm not doing well over
At
here.
least, at least you know you'll get your protein intake. That's all I can say.
There you go. Okay, good thinking. Good thinking. What, you in a haunted basement? Where you at?
Well, fun fact about me, like some slight paranoia from my past. So like, it was the cat running upstairs, but sometimes like I'll just not even hear anything and think I hear everything, and I'll just
You said slight paranoia from my past. Let's go down that road. Why do you have paranoia from your past?
just from which is a fun fact, just because I don't really talk about it, so it's always a fun door to open.
Okay.
Just there, they had a lot of people that would like mess with me, like family included. That's why like I'm so like standoffish. Part of the reason, one of the many reasons, and they like story. You want to hear a story time with Dakota?
Is it going to get dark right out the gate, Dakota?
No,
Okay. All
not
right.
really. It's kind of
But to understand the
looking.
man, it's necessary. So go ahead.
Like, I'm 27 now, so like looking back on it, I'm like, holy shit, that's kind of crazy that it happened. But at the time, I was like 9 years old. I was like, what the fuck?
Okay.
What the hell just happened? But so in small town West Virginia, I had a trailer, 2 bedroom trailer stayed at, and it was just off the main street exit going down, side street going down to the park, and it was down and going up the alleyway connected to Second Avenue, which is at the time where my childhood best friend lived. His mom did, and there was a street light that was in the middle, halfway between the alleyway that connected, well, extended to another alley down to the other side of the street. Sorry, I like to talk with my hands.
It's fine.
And we were like not anywhere between like I think 7 to 10 years old, and I think we didn't have school or summer vacation, and we were like, I was like, hey mom, Isaac stayed the night. She said, I don't care. Go ask his mom. So we cut through the alley. It was like nighttime, I'd say like 10, 11 o'clock. And we walk up, Amy, can Isaac stay? Dakota's mom, Jamie, say it was okay? Yeah. Okay, I don't care. So we gathered his stuff. Started walking back down to my house. And we got under that street light that led down the other alleyway. And about halfway down that alleyway there's a dude who's like carrying a satchel.
Oh shit.
And it's like stereotypical like 1970s like burglar. Like he's got a satchel, a flashlight. He's doing a heavy creep across the alleyway like he's trying to sneak up to somebody's house.
Uh oh.
He saw us, stops, looks at us, like shines the light to us like this. We're just perfectly under that street light. We're just and he starts like slowly creeping till he like starts building up to like a heavy run.
Oh fuck.
And dude, like I said, I'm 27 now. That is hands down the fastest I've ever ran in my life. Still to this day, that is the fastest I ever ran in my life. We're hauling ass by the time he started building up that speed. We run down to at this point, we just ran to my mom's house. My buddy got ahead of me. We had pre-made steps. There, it was a set of 5, and then that 6th step connected to the porch. Well, I cleared as a kid. I cleared practically all 6 of them. My foot got caught on that very lip that connected to the porch. Barrel rolled across. Bear crawled into the house and like basically like suicide dived into the gas heater we had because it was like literally right in front. As soon as you walked into the old trailer, like 4 steps in front of the door was the heater.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like bear crawled in, and my buddy like locked the door, and we're just sitting there like, and I grabbed like the stool that I had that I used to get food with. My mom was like passed out from extracurricular activities, and I grabbed it because we had one of those fuzzy looking windows, and I like climbed out to see if anybody was there. I didn't see anybody. Told my mom exactly what I told you, and she's like, "You guys lying, bullshit." We're like, What the fuck were we lying about that?
Yeah, what do you have to gain?
Yeah, it's like when we had the game, we just literally could have died.
Okay, well, it shows me and you's not so different after all. I grew up in a trailer with a mom doing extracurriculars. I didn't run into the burglar, but I did. I have seen Home Alone a couple times, so I can relate.
Oh, dude, my favorite thing talking about the Home Alone gimmick
Mm-hmm.
is like videos of people posting like what would happen if like an intruder like broke into their house and it like turns to the red light and like or whatever sign like you hear like pumped up kicks or like feel good by gorillas, insert whatever fun song they enjoy there, and
Fair
it's like
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you got to be my eyes and ears, Dakota. A lot of folks tune in because they want to know what's going on in wrestling. I don't know what the hell's going on in wrestling. What went on this past weekend, or what was it, the day before, day after Turkey Day, whenever it was? What's going on in RSW land?
if RSW had another good show at the Harrison Record Center in Clarksburg. Obviously, team franchise with the unappreciated being the workhorses of the team took them to victory.
Did he forget his
All
gear? What's up? Well, I saw pictures. Like, what's going on there? All right, fair enough.
a lot of people have the same questions, and I think Pappy Douglas didn't get stretched out too much that day.
Oh, he didn't do a whole lot in the match, did he not?
No, he did enough for a franchise. He seemed like he was just ready to hit the finish.
Well, fair. Okay, fair. Hey, man, I've just seen pictures. That was my first. That was the first thing on my mind is
I,
why ain't Shane
I
Douglas in his gear?
that that was the same question I had while I was out there, but I was trying to tune that part out.
Hey, Muscles is in his gear. Muscles, looking good. So hey,
Hey, at least I had the cutoff on. Always got to rock the dudes, the hey dudes.
how's them Harrison County crowds treating you? They hate you as much as the other crowds. Do you get any supporters? What's going on?
Few and far between supporters. You know how it is. You were a naysayer. That's why I had to remind you of that book, The Spooky Lou. All you had to do, you had to plug it the first time, and I would have gave you a hug on camera right there. But then you're like, "Hey man, I forgot," and I was like, "Spooky." That's okay. I'll make sure you don't get this next time.
I,
But
I legit did forget, like over and over and over.
brother, I don't care. I appreciate it regardless. When it comes down to it,
The Untold Truth.
I
What the hell's the book about? Let's go ahead and put it over now. Let's do it. Let's get it done before I forget again. Why'd you write a book? What's it about? What's going on?
why I wrote the book. I I started into a 5-year depression phase
Ooh.
after a very nasty like breakup, and I was looking for things to occupy. That's actually how I got into photography too.
Okay.
And because at that point, every day I was waking up, I was like, man, why do I gotta wake up? And after about a little while feeling like that, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm tired of feeling like this. I was like, I gotta find something to like occupy my time. And storytelling has always been like just a thing I've loved. It's one of the reasons why I love wrestling. Like, a little sidebar, like people always ask about what, like what, who got you into wrestling, what got you into wrestling, and it's like I can't really distinctly identify one thing that like really drew me in. I just had this like natural draw to it where I just appreciated the story and I could understand it even at an early age. Because like one of my first memories is like wrestling in like 2003, like 2002, whenever Goldberg was feuding with Evolution,
Okay.
and Raw was on Spike TV,
Uh-huh.
and it was like some back promo, and that's like one of the first things I remember. And like I didn't understand a thing about wrestling. I just knew that the bald headed dude wanted to beat the guy with the big nose's ass, and I
Right.
was all about it and ready to see what was going to happen. Like that, I could see there was something there, and I want like curiosity has always been. I'm kind of one of those monikers for curiosity killed the cat because sometimes my curiosity can get the best of me,
Gotcha.
and so I was curious about how this would go about, and then at some point, wrestling just became a consistent thing I watched in my life. And then what really got me into the storytelling was the Edge and Matt Hardy real life scandal stuff, how they turned it into a work,
Right.
which I loved. When
Yeah.
I found out that they were able to like still do business, which makes me agitated at some people, and it's like, hey, you can still dislike each other and make money
Right.
if you do it right and tolerate it enough. But more importantly, the untold truth was a 3-year process that I started after in my depression phase. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna write a book, and it stemmed from a dream. Honestly, it wasn't a full dream that was like, oh, you're gonna write this book. It was like me in a scenario of a house being chased by people with guns, and I had to like try and like get out of the house.
Okay.
And it was me jumping through a window, and it was raining and stuff like that, like typical like final fight showdown scene outside,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just raining, thunder, lightning, ominous music. And I just woke up the next day and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna write a story. And that's what started the bicycle. That's what started the snowball. And fast forward to I think it was 2020, 2021. I self-published The Untold Truth on Amazon, which is about 5 college friends who are looking to spend like their last free uh, summer as kids on a beach vacation. But on their way to the beach vacation, they come across this family who is trying to turn this small town into their personal utopia, and they don't take too kindly to strangers. So then they start trying to press these kids to get out of here, and eventually these kids get pressed so much they're like, all right, hey, we're pressing back. And then they take down this family who's trying to turn this town into their utopia.
Okay. Sounds like a 80s action movie to me if I ever heard one.
You know, Red Dawn, those that guerrilla warfare like movies, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, like those stories. That's what it's building into, because it's a 3-part series that I'm going to be writing. It's going to be a trilogy when it's all said and done. I'm in the process of writing the second one now.
Okay.
And that second one, like, it's called Sacred Secrets, as you can tell from like the title, like where like it's going, and the sequel stems where how the family was trying to turn that town their personal utopia. It is Sacred Secrets essentially dives into sorry, my brain is thinking faster than my mouth can process.
You have so much you want to say about it.
Exactly. I, and it also doesn't help that I got cotton mouth. So just give me 1 second, sir. I'm sorry.
The untold truth.
But 15 or $16 on Amazon. I haven't checked it in a while, so I'm a little hazy on the price. But Sacred Secrets is basically just about the deep delve, the deep roots that the government corruption has in America, and this group of former soldiers does everything to overthrow this government, which will eventually build into the third story, which is going to be. Have you, out of curiosity, because I know I'm not trying to age you, sir, but I know you're a little seasoned. And
Oh,
are you a
a twisted what fan? You cut out.
Twisted Metal fan?
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with the dystopia and everything. Oh yeah, yes sir.
Yeah, if you've seen the show, which I am a big fan of, like just the way they kind of did like their own thing, but still kept it traditional to the story in some way,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to kind of build into something similar to that. But I haven't fully ironed out a lot of the details because, like I said, that's the third book, and I'm not even halfway through the second one.
Got you. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. So you started. It was a process. While you're doing the
Mm.
first book, you start training to wrestle. Is there anything you took from the world of wrestling, the seedy underbelly of independent wrestling? Is there anything you took from that and put into this world of yours?
Well, actually, it inspired me to, because I have a laundry list of book ideas that I'm planning on writing until the day I pass.
Okay.
And on that laundry list is I've always been interested in the cop stories too. And one thing, if I can brag about myself, one thing I will always respect about myself is I try and stay unorthodox. I try not to get too routine sometimes.
Okay.
Like even for myself, I like to try and keep myself guessing. I like to try and just be on my toes. And so, and that's how I've always been. I've always been a people watcher, like an observer. And through what I've seen in wrestling so far, it inspired me to write a cop story down the road. Eventually, once I get more experience, maybe meet some more people, just when the timing is right more than anything. Because I
That
haven't made it that far yet. Because you know how it goes. There's a strategy and an outline to everything,
right.
and it's just time for that piece to fall in yet.
Okay. Okay. So you're going. So you saw all these criminals in wrestling, all these dirt
Yeah,
bags, and you was
all,
like,
all
man,
the
if I could get a super cop just to wipe them all out.
I saw all these hoodlums, and I was like, we need to take care of these. Be a better version than Sean Pugh's book, Pugh's first wrestling adventure.
Damn, he even got a free plug out of it.
And he, but all it is, like I say, and when I say I was unorthodox, I was also against like social norms too.
Good.
Like I just, it just came natural, you know what I mean? Like fitting in just never really felt right. Like I do it, and I'm like, man, I feel tired. Why did I have to try and exist so hard today?
I can relate. I can relate.
But
I think you gave me a perfect segue because you was talking about how you like to even keep yourself on your toes. I want to go back to Fairmont State earlier this year. Me and you was making little jokes back and forth, and I always thought me and you had I'm not a trained wrestler, but we had the cameraman bond. So I thought. And you think you know somebody. We're going back and forth. We're telling little jokes. Never in my wildest dreams did I think you was going to take that camera and bash Polly in the back of the head with it. So kudos to you. You're kayfabe master. I'll give you that. But take me to that night.
Brother, it's pure and simple. The name says it all. And it's not just been unappreciated in wrestling. I've been unappreciated my whole life. And I've done everything I can to prove why I am the best at being me,
Mm-hmm.
and why being me will be never done better than by anybody else. And there is a little bit like I've had my issues, and I've taken years to align myself internally and emotionally. But I'm never afraid to get my hands dirty when necessary, and it was time to get my hands dirty.
And I mean, you can't argue with the results.
I, like I said, I was unappreciated for too long, and I was given the chance, and now I'm just do what I can to run with it.
Kudos. I mean, hell, you was running around with tag gold earlier this summer. I believe, I think you got Rucker coming up. That's a big time match in my book. So looks like you're doing all right for yourself.
Being a belt holder is not too bad sometimes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What do you think? What do you think your favorite match has been this year?
Going to top three because I never
Yeah.
like
Fair
top
enough.
it like one singular thing. I always like doing a top three, top five, depending on the category.
Okay.
But for like personally, matches that I've wrestled, shit, having a brain fart. Give me a second.
Okay.
Mark Anthony Rucker, he is my favorite one just because it was just a battle of two young guys wanting to prove themselves, and he was the better man that night. But lightning won't strike twice. That's all I can say about that.
Fair
Because
enough.
he won't. I promise. I'll do everything in my power to make sure he doesn't win the second one.
So you're straight up saying you're going to cheat as soon as you get the opportunity.
I'm going to do whatever I can to show I'm the better man.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
And you know what? I asked you one of your favorites. I've been going through because I'm working on a little year in review. I think as of this week, my personal favorite match this week is him and Duzan against. Was it you and Trevor at Grafton, or was it Logan and Trevor, or was it Logan and you? I know it was the unappreciated. It was you and Trevor and at Grafton
Yeah,
where they won the tag belts.
I believe so.
Yeah, that was
That
as
was a
of
good
right
match.
now. That's my personal favorite.
Well, right now, my top three, because since you mentioned Duzan, he's my second one.
Okay.
Wrestling him at the Mannington show, at the Mannington Fair.
Mm-hmm.
A great match that I was excited to have because I was. The more reps I get in wrestling, the longer my list gets of people I want to test myself against because you can only be as good as your weakest attribute. And at this point, repetition is the only thing I need to help take me to the sky. And for top, you know what?
What?
I'd say my other favorite. It's a weird one. I just kind of thought about it for a second. Sorry, that's why I kind of like had that abrupt, just like you know what moment.
Uh huh. Came to me.
My third favorite is the little kind of want to call it a little half hour segue between with me, Logan, and the Golden Boys. how me and Jimmy James we wrestled that first match that spilled into the second match, which ultimately led to Pew jipping the unappreciated. We'll call it like it is. Pew jipping the unappreciated and putting us in a tag match after we just got done wrestling.
That was fun though. How, like you said, how it all went together and everything. That was, I mean, you guys kind of brought it upon yourselves, so you can't bitch how it turned out.
We we didn't ask for it. We were just responding adequately.
And I got to give you your due. Like you said, you guys are out there for a half hour, 3 different matches, and you did it. So props to you, sir.
And and I say that one just because it was a personal test for me because that was like one of the longest times I'd been out there in some capacity, and I was excited but nervous because I was testing myself, and I got hard lungs as it is anyway, so I was like, I was, eyebrows were raised, I was sweating a little bit. I was like, well, let's see how it goes.
Right.
Thankfully, I
Okay.
didn't die. Good.
All right. You talk about some spur of the moment stuff and being tested. Let's go to the Buckhannon show before that. You're in the middle of a match. I believe it's you and Duff, if I remember correctly. And a little incident happens, and it gets crazy, but you're in the middle of a match. What the hell do you do? What's going through your head? Because the match
Honestly,
stopped for probably about at least 20 seconds to a minute. I don't know, but what's going through your mind there?
a lot of things in life is trial by error, and at that situation, at that point, I'd always seen those like instances happen, but I've never been a part of it,
I was going to say, yeah, I don't think you've been a part of something like that.
so I kind of lines were getting blurred, and critical thinking was starting to play the heaviest factor for my own safety, and my my own safety is priority number one.
I got you.
And because I was all ready for that dude to hit the ring,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like being that way. But if he's hitting the ring, then oh well, he better be ready.
Right.
And I would say I can't speak for Duff because I'm not Professor X. I can't read his mind, but I'd say he hasn't been in too many similar situations either. So it was kind of like a more of a oh shit, like are we gonna have to get out or beat ass type thing.
Right.
And at that point, you start to just question everything. Just kind of starts to slow down a little bit because it's like, all right, hey, like what do I have to do, or what's this going to turn into? But he didn't make it past the bodyguard, so Big Big may he might like to play that he's hurt, but that man can still scrap at the pace that he's in now.
Crazy, man. You talk about a tumultuous year. It's been a tumultuous year. What's the biggest lesson, the best lesson you've taken from all this drama, chaos? There's been plenty of good as well, but it's been a tumultuous year. What's the best lesson that Muscles has gained out of this year in the wrestling business?
As always, people are strange.
Okay.
That's priority. That's priority number one. People are people, and we all do our own things. And there's some interesting characters, and stay true to yourself, stay confident in yourself, make it all make sense.
Make it all make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, when you have something like that, because this is one of the things that Shane Douglas was talking about after the show while he was putting on his jacket. Not changing or anything, just putting on his jacket. Um, he as always, you know, when the vets are sharing wisdom, the ones that care or no, I don't want to say care is too strong and too broad of a word. The ones that are interested and curious by his influence and opinion
Hmm.
are gonna join and listen.
Right on.
I was one of them because I mean the man has success at some point in his career, so yeah he knows what he's doing.
Right.
And he was telling stories about when he was working with like I think he said Dick Sawyer, all those guys from Tennessee and stuff, like old Murdoch and everything like that, talking about Green Boys getting lessons and stuff like that during different generations, different times, stuff you wouldn't obviously most places see now. Like he said, some dude needed a lesson, and he was supposed to wrestle, I think Pedro Morales,
Okay.
and he was waved off. And I'm having a brain fart on the booker, and now it's going to come to me later. And the booker waved Dick Sawyer over, and they went out, worked a little bit. They worked, I think, like he said, a 6 to 8 minute match. Ending of it was Dick Sawyer just punched him, cold cocked him, foot on the throat or foot on the chest, cover 1, 2, 3. All you saw was blood flies, teeth start falling out. Nobody said anything. Nobody said, "Is that what you wanted? Is that what you did?" He said the dude just walked back over, started taking his gear back off, acting like nothing happened.
Okay.
Another day in the office, and that was just more of a example of like a tough lesson type thing.
Hmm.
But he really ended it with make it all make sense. He said, like, regardless of opinions, he mentioned that what he saw at the Harrison County Rec Center on November 27th was some more better wrestling than what you can see on TV.
Hell yeah.
Because he said we know how we have an understanding of how to like make it make sense. And he said that that's the biggest thing about wrestling is like making it make sense, which I can understand and respect because it's like depending on who your trainer is, you're taught different things or you're shown different things. The trainer we had, he he was big on in that category, more of an extreme version. And so for me, I've always thought like what can I do that would make sense where like you could pull it off like in a actual fight, but not make it look too crazy. Where because like you're not gonna see a Spanish fly be used in a bar fight,
Right on.
but you might see a spear,
Right on.
and that was just what like his biggest lesson of it was just making it make sense, make it seem practical, because wrestling isn't fake. It's I don't choreographed, and that's what I love about it because it's the best of everything.
Okay. And then you got shitheads like me that say wrestling could be anything you want it to be. I mean, look at what they call it, the kaiju wrestling. You got guys in lizard outfits. You got cosplay wrestling now, so you can go see Superman versus Batman. And why does it
Well,
make sense? Because it's Superman versus fucking Batman. That's why it makes sense. So,
well, dude, and like I like good example that you brought that up because like
kaiju big battle is what it's called. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You like what you're an ECW guy, right? Like
Oh yeah.
that was your realm of wrestling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is that still your realm of wrestling? Like, is deathmatch still like your
Honest to
like,
goodness, like I love my death match, man. But I'll watch a good cruiserweight match. I'll watch a good lucha match. I'll go watch a good pure rules match. Nigel and Daniel Bryan. ECW is my nostalgia shit, and gives me my happy feelings. But I'll watch whatever.
right? You just got that overall love for wrestling. But what's the comfort, like the go to? Like, you know what? Like, I don't feel like searching through anything today. I'm just gonna go to this guy that put on this show and watch whatever.
It's ECW. I'm still giving that creep Rob Feinstein money because I'm buying old ECW TV because I gotta have the old music with it. So yeah.
And brother, I can respect that because like especially now, like wrestling has developed so much to where it's kind of like sectioned off, where you have your straight amateur wrestlers, occasional like a lot of just former athletes, former fighters that did it. Then it progressed into athletes, then it progressed into just people that wanted to do it,
Hmm.
and eventually that all became extensions of itself. Like ECW crawled, so death matches nowadays could sprint.
Yeah, but at the same time, they crawled so Ring of Honor could. They brought the work rate stuff with Malenko and Guerrero, so always
Right,
got the
and
rat out there for ECW.
why I love ECW is because like you could get that blend of both,
Hmm.
and of of top indie guys that you didn't hear of through the big corporations, and that's why, and like AEW, they have their own section of fans. Like everybody can call it what it is. Like it's the comedy wrestling. Like the people, the camper that sleeps in the tent, the pizza maker, the dude that smokes a joint while he's like wrestling the Michael Jackson dude. Like I respect them for getting into wrestling, for loving the business.
Right.
But I if that's the kind of thing they're into, it's like depending on who's doing it, I could watch it. But depending on who's doing it, I could roll my eyes at it.
Oh yeah, for sure, and that's the same with me. Yeah, like we can't just have anybody be a Michael Jackson. We got to have Santana Jackson being Michael Jackson. I got you.
And that's why I also like wrestling is because like everybody can. I'm big on like if we don't agree, as long as we get along, I could care less. As long as you're good to me, I'm good to you. That's all. That's why I see it. If we got differences of opinions, we can either work around it or we can either not talk about it.
Right.
But also, if I don't like you, I'm not afraid to not talk to you either.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know where how to solve all the problems and where they even begin. Like when you was talking about a good mix of everything, man, like the first thing that pops to mind, like VCW, you watch one of their shows and you got your work rate match, you got your hardcore, you got your comedy match, you got your mime in there, you got God forbid you put Mount Kilpus in dresses and then you never bring them back. Jesus Christ. But anyway, but they had a good mix, is what I'm saying.
There's a whole can of worms there that
Right, that's what I just
I
said.
don't know, man.
West
I can
Virginia
like
wrestling's weird as fuck. I'll tell you that
it,
much.
it is, and like I got it's political, man. It's a game. That's all it is. You gotta learn how to work the system.
Yeah, but it, like it's West Virginia wrestling, bro. Like really, is it political, or are you guys just being shitheads?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, right.
Probably more on the latter if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know. It is what it is. And it's not just here, believe me. I've been exploring some other indies, during my vacation, we'll call it. And yeah, man, it's everybody's fighting everywhere and everybody's having the greatest times of their lives everywhere. It's just, it is the way it is.
Everybody's putting on the best show wherever they're at.
Damn right.
And dude, they like what we were talking about earlier. Like everybody's got their own views of their own places to hang out with, their own places to hang out, their own food to eat, their own people that they see. Like everybody does the same thing, but in their own version. So that's what makes it unique.
Right. For example, give the folks at home. You get to a venue. What's Muscles doing to prep for a show? What's going through a typical day once you get to the venue?
Usually, your boys rushing around to find the bathroom first off,
I feel it.
and in between destination 1 to 2, saying hi, making chit chat, progress, like making it, extending the banter depending on how bad I got to use the bathroom, cutting it off at the root if I got to go real bad. But
Okay.
then you just try and stretch and then get ready and then game plan for the night, see what's going on, see what we need to do.
See, and you give me hell about forgetting the title of your book. You just said getting high the whole time before. So yeah, dude, I go out there, blaze, don't know name. I forgot done half the moves. I don't know what the hell to call these moves. I'm lucky to get the words. So you got to understand.
Dude, it's all right. I sometimes still get my left and my right shoes mixed up sometimes, so it's all.
It takes a special type to get into this business. I'll tell you that much.
And you got to be a glutton for punishment, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm 100% certain. Vince McMahon kind of proved it with the extreme. Uh, oh, why am I having such a brain fart? The with the being embarrassed on live TV, the kink shaming, the
Oh
public
yeah.
shaming.
Right.
He kind of like set it to the extreme, but in my opinion, in my professional opinion,
Uh-huh.
even watching it as a youngster, I was like, man, I was like, especially after I started taking my first doing my first training session, I was like, man, you into wrestling? You got to be a masochist a little bit,
Right.
and it's like because you there's no way like a sane person would willingly put their body through that type of events excursion through X amount of years, however long you plan or want to do it.
And that's just the in ring, bro. That's not
Yeah.
in the car when your knees are hurting.
Or your
Put
back
Yeah, put
or your bladder's cramping because it's like, oh hey, we're an hour out. We haven't peed for 3 hours, but we can just make it this one more hour. And then by the time you get there, everybody's walking like old men.
Yeah. Oh man, I thought I was gonna die one time. Like I couldn't breathe. I had to pee so bad. I'm like,
Oh, that's the
yeah,
worst.
I remember telling Tim, pull over right now. Like, bro, I'm gonna piss in your truck. We have to pull over right now.
There's no place for you to pee. Just throw the passenger door open. I don't care.
Yeah, like it's either on your seat or outside, man. Yeah, and you
Oh,
talk about what your body goes through mentally because you're around all these different characters. Like you say, you're not always going to get along with people. There's the vets are going to, if you find the shithead vets, they're going to do their shithead things. There's good ones, thank God, but you deal with some shitheadedness. So yeah, like you say, you got to be a masochist to a degree.
my favorite is I think it was here recently. Mike Tyson mentioned on I think Logan Paul's podcast about how Shawn Michaels was perfectly okay with like Mike Tyson just like not pulling a punch. Like,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead, hit me. He's like, what? He's like, you're serious, right? He's like, basically along the lines. He's like, you're doubting. He's doubting, but making like looking at him like he's crazy.
Hmm.
And Michaels just told him apparently. He's like, yeah, go ahead, just fucking actually hit me. And he's like, that's why you don't fuck with them wrestlers. He's like, they're crazy. That's coming from Mike Tyson.
Right. Mike was at
He's
that point though was probably like, just put me out of my fucking misery. My back
probably
fucking hurts. I'm an asshole. Just put me out of my misery.
my back hurt. The drugs ain't doing it anymore.
God damn.
Okay. Spooky. I gotta get your insight on something.
What'd you say? Okay.
I said I gotta get your insight on something.
Okay.
They we were talking. I talked about earlier about like what got me into wrestling and the respect I have for the story. What was there something that got you into wrestling specifically, like a storyline, a person, an angle, just whatever, like whatever you could think of that was like, you know what? I was like, this wrestling thing's pretty fucking cool. I'm gonna see what I can do to get involved with this.
I can pinpoint it, and I've told it before on here, but God, if you've listened to every episode of this, you're more fucked up than I am. So, but I can pinpoint it. I remember my dad always watching wrestling, and I'd peek in here and there. But one day I was sitting there by myself, and Superstars was on, and here's Jim the Anvil Neidhart. He's on crutches. He'd fucked up his knee, and here come the Beverly Brothers, and they're talking shit. And one of them took out his knee and started kicking his ass. I said, "They can do this." Wait, his knee's already hurt and they're beating him up. Whoa! So, yep, from then on out, and it was probably like a couple months later, Sean threw Marty through the barbershop glass window. So, it was definitely the story. I remember getting bored and falling asleep during the matches. Give me the story, man.
And now that's all you get in wrestling now, especially with WWE, is the story.
What'd you think of Survivor Series?
Survivor Series was interesting. They not gonna lie, I'm just ready for the Tongaloa's younger brother, the Hikuleo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just ready for him to make his debut and get involved because if they can do the right stuff with him and help him grow, I think him and Jacob Fatu are going to be the next generation Samoans that like
Right.
help head WWE.
Fatu had a hell of a showing last night, man. So, and talk about story getting a show by that War Games, that men's War Game match. Thank God for the story. But that's been probably the last 3 or 4 years. They've relied on that Bloodline story in War
Oh,
Games.
been like basically since I think COVID happened and Roman Reigns came back, it's been nothing but Bloodline. They've been planting and building, which I can respect it. And it's like it's interesting though because it's like how long can this wheel go?
Mm-hmm. There's still some Samoans to be signed, by God. So.
Because they still got Zilla Fatu rolling around on the independent scene, still
Yup.
making
Goddamn.
sure he and I'm sure they probably got his eyes on him, especially with how close him and Jacob Fatu was before he came into WWE.
Uh huh.
And then of course you got the ones that used to be in WWE that they let go, so they're most likely, well, never say never, especially with wrestling,
Right.
but they might not bring him back.
Well, they ain't gonna bring back who was it, Samu that beat up that indie wrestler for. Okay, dude, it's funny to watch, and you know what? A lot of people were up in arms about it, and I'm the first to say that's kind of the old timey ways coming back, and you're kind of being a shithead. But it was funny to watch, so I don't hate it as much as everybody else did.
I First off,
Now, if it was me, I'd throw your ass in jail, crazy bastard.
first off, remember how I told you people are strange?
Uh,
People are also really stupid too.
yeah.
And I'm sure through your years of living on this lovely earth, you've figured that out already.
Yes, I
And
did.
it's like you play stupid games, you're gonna win stupid prizes. You're some wannabe looking Samoan, possibly not even fully Samoan. I'm not gonna assume this dude's nationality or heritage or anything like that.
Right.
God forgive God forbid I get the WrestleRoni canceled for assuming. Even though this woke generation is hopefully on its last legs soon.
Yeah, we'll see.
And well, unrelated, different podcast on the Joe Rogan podcast. I forget what other comedian he had on there, but he mentioned how his daughter and the other comedian's daughter are in high school together, and they said the R word is coming back like it's the 2000s.
Oh, okay.
And he said the woke shit for the men, for the spectrum has gone out the window. They don't care that much anymore.
Well, at least in that city. I tell you what, my daughter
Right.
don't let me say shit. So.
And it depends on the person, depends on the area, it depends on everything else in between. But
So, are you saying this worker fucked up by playing a Polynesian, or by not knowing who he was getting in there with? Because he could have thought, if he didn't know his shit, he'd be like, oh, I'm just getting in there with an old head, and I heard he's made his rounds, not knowing like this man, he's known for being a Samoan badass. So, did he fuck
and
up there, or did he fuck up playing the gimmick?
if that's his true gimmick, like something he's been doing through however long he's been wrestling, or that's what he started with, that's a horrible first lesson to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be a very impactful lesson. And without knowing the situation, because I never confidently speak on stuff I don't 100% know for a fact.
Right on.
So without knowing like the history, who this dude is, without knowing the company, without it, because like sometimes you don't know if you're, because you can have your match planned out for a month,
Right.
and you call it exactly how it went the month out, and then there's days you can get to the show and they're like, hey, we had some hiccups. You're not doing this now. You're doing that, and now everything you were thinking of has to get changed and flipped.
Oh yeah.
So some things, some things happen on the fly, get changed at the seat of your britches type thing.
Oh yeah.
And if this dude, and this is all what ifs, hypotheses, is if this dude was just playing his gimmick, or he's like, oh hey, I look like a Samoan, let me play a Samoan, and he didn't know he was. Maybe it's not the best idea unless it's like your full nationality, or do your research on your opponent if you knew ahead of time that you were going against them. Should he have done it? Probably not. Probably should have addressed it in the locker room. But like you said, that's that old school mentality in a way
Mm-hmm.
coming back out. So it's like it sucks to see it type thing, but you can understand why it happened,
Right.
and just hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Now, oh, it's gonna happen again and again and
Most likely, but I like even though I sometimes sound like a glass half full, I always try to be glass half empty. I flipped it. Jesus Christ, glass half empty. I always try to be a glass half full.
Oh, God bless you. You're an optimistic man, Muscles. That's what
I try.
that's what we need right now in this depressing ass season. It's cold. I ain't making no shows. I ain't having no interaction with nobody besides my kids and my wife. So,
Well, it's not even depressing ass season. It's just depressing ass country because we are definitely, in my humble opinion, America needs a slice of a humble pie.
well, hell do I know.
Out of out of curiosity,
Uh huh.
because how you have children, right?
Three of them.
Three of them. How old are they?
19, 14, and 8.
Is the 19-year-old in college?
No.
Okay. Out of curiosity, for the two that
And
are
she turned 20, I forgot. She'll be 21. Shit. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Spooky Lou. But for the two that are still in school, what is your take on Linda McMahon being named head of board education, and the idea of everybody in the government now wanting to dismantle the board education system?
I think it's all fucked up anyway. I think teachers are underpaid. I think I'm lucky that my girls go to the schools they go to, that the schools do actually try, because I've saw the schools in bigger cities that don't give a fuck. It's just there to make a paycheck. And guess what? They're underpaid, so I can't fault them for the attitude. Yeah, man, burn it all down and reconstruct it, because what's happening ain't working.
And dude, that's why, because there's a lot of things, and I'm sure you've probably heard it too, from the time you were growing up, about Social Security being like non-existent and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just crazy how much they always try to push, but how like close but so far away they are at the same time. It's like they accomplish one thing, fall back on another. Get this, fall that. Here, there, trip there.
Oh yeah,
And
for
it's interesting how people still play this same game. Like they know the system, they know the scheme, but yet they still roll with it.
it's easier, ain't it?
It is because the only thing that we got going for us now is our how far we've progressed as a civilization. Because half the people in this world probably couldn't make it on old pioneer standards.
Right?
Shit, I don't even know I would make it, but I would try.
Gotta survive.
Exactly, Darwinism. Only the strongest will survive.
Yeah, man. And I can relate that back to wrestling. Like, the more I'm away from it, the more I'm like, if this tradition goes, I think we'd still be all right. You know, if we threw out this old way of thinking, I get why traditions are there and they got us to this point. But man, it's a lot of it's getting dated and it's not with the times. And that's me as a 41 year old man saying that. So I
Well,
don't know, man.
well, dude, like you said, you just gave your age. You're 41, and you're born and raised in West Virginia, right?
Oh yeah.
And back in the 2000s, like this is a good example, just because like West Virginia itself is outdated state in its own right, because its boom years was after they succeeded from Virginia, became its own state, and started delving into its coal mines and stuff like that. That's like where its traction began. And now that half of our mines are basically like dug through,
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia, some places is just a ghost town.
Bro,
Of
you
what do you
been to Monongah? That's my hometown, man. It used to be popping when I was a kid. Mines are
exactly?
gone.
My hometown, my grandfather, he's born and raised in West Virginia. He's from where I'm from, and he had 60 to 70 kids in his class when he graduated in the 70s. I had 35 in mine, and I was part of the bigger class. I was one of the bigger of my time of graduation.
We're dying
And
out and getting dumber and with less money. We're dying out with getting dumber with less money, muscles. Jesus
well,
Christ.
well, dude, they just shut down my school.
Oh,
If you
yeah?
had, they shut down Payne City and Hundred High School in West Virginia.
Damn.
They've been trying to shut down Valley too, but they ain't gonna let it happen. Well, there aren't. And that's another similar area. At one point, probably in like the 50s, it was great, but now there's literally a house that has. I've seen them before. They've hung deer and butchered and skinned their deer right there on their like driveway. and this porch is literally rotting in, and they just don't fix it. It's been the same since I've been a kid and driving out that way.
There you go. Well, we can't end it on a depressing note, Muscles. I've kept you for an hour, but we're going to give it another 5 minutes here so we can turn around. What are we looking forward to in 2025? Uplift this damn thing before we send it home.
Well, if you want to uplift this thing, we'll end it on a story because
Okay.
you can never go wrong with a good story.
Okay.
And but 2025 is going to be just extending the nest a little farther. I'm hoping to have one more book published. I have one sitting on the shelf ready to be re-edited. It just costs money.
Okay.
That's what starts the cop series of my books and of my book series, and hopefully just branch out in different wrestling places. Hopefully reach 75 matches next year. I'm gonna try and reach around, get booked enough consistently other places to hopefully make that happen and just continue to grow.
You hit the reach around, you'll get booked.
I don't want to do the Shawn Michaels pay window.
Hey, man.
All speculation, but uh, to end on a positive note. Well, depends on what kind of story you want, Spooky Lou. You want funny or crazy?
Ooh. Crazy. Fuck funny. Crazy.
I can respect it. All right, so my old powerlifting trainer, he trained under a dude who was a powerlifting star back in I think the 80s, like back whenever powerlifting was starting to take off. I don't remember the names off my head, like the top of my head, but there's a couple of people that are like world class names that he was up there with, and he was from the Martinsville, West Virginia, and he worked out in his gym, well, in his garage, his own gym, and he also had a pizza shop, and Fairmont. I say pizza shop because there was a lot of speculation that he was selling drugs that said pizza shop.
Gotcha.
Like the literally made a joke about him having powder on his nose, but it wasn't powder; it was cocaine. But they called it powder on live television.
Okay.
But he was like 5'7", 330. He was imagine me wider, angrier, and wilder.
Okay.
And his wife was an alcoholic, and they argued all the time. Well, one day, my trainer showed up when he was in high school. They were getting ready to start working out and everything like that. He was starting to learn from this dude. He was starting to teach from it, starting to just learn his ways of training. Well, he didn't. The trainer, his name was Luke, didn't realize that Joe, which was my old trainer, and his friend showed up. So him and his wife, they're jaw jacking, they're yelling. She stormed out. He's chasing her. He's like, "Don't fucking walk away from me, bitch." He's like, "I'll tell you when we're done with this conversation. This, that, and the other." This, da, 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 da. She like just like cussing her up and down the river, every obscurity, every name you could think of. And you're like, "Damn, I feel bad for this woman." But she's just laying it right back onto him. She's like, "Fuck you, you fat piece of shit." She's like, "You ain't gonna talk to me like that." She's just continuing this argument, whatever. She's like, "You're a horrible alcoholic." She was on her way to get the sauce. That's why they were arguing.
Okay.
Because he needed somebody to watch. She slept in the reception area at the gym. They didn't sleep together. And maybe they just needed to have sex. Maybe that's what it was.
Right.
Well, this argument progressed a little farther, and Luke goes to walk away, and she goes to walk away too, and they're still arguing and stuff like that. She says something that just lights a fire under him. So, and they still had no idea that my trainer and his two friends were there. So they're watching this all happen. He grabs a 45-pound plate off of the tree stand and throws it like a 2.5-pound frisbee. Throws it straight for his wife, and you just hear it crash through the cinder blocks, rip through the wall. You see it just shoot back down the hall. You hear the loud clang of it bouncing and stuff like that. And they're like sitting there, deer in headlight look, just like, oh shit, she's dead.
Oh shit.
Like, oh my god. Like, we just like, what? And all of a sudden, you see that bitch pop back up. She's like, "You fat motherfucker! You think you can hit me? You can't fucking hurt me! I ain't fucking scared of you!" Da 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 da. She storms back into the office
Damn.
without missing a fluid motion, dog. That trainer, he comes out. He goes chasing her. He kicks open the door, catches it, swings it back, and you can just hear him progress, like keep yelling
Yeah.
in the office. And they didn't come back out the rest of the time. My trainer and his friends were there.
See, and we talk about how bad America, we're in bad shape. That shit ain't going on for the most part, Like, we're not throwing weights at each other. It's just a common thing where, hey, I better grab the weight, catch the weight, here it comes. It's not as common, I don't think. It's not
That was back in
as
the
accepted, at least. Do what?
Yeah, it was more common.
Maybe we do have it good after all, Muscles.
I don't. Well, that's just until the aliens decide they don't want us to have anything anymore.
Well, they're making themselves known more and more, so I think it's coming.
Well, bro, you want to know a fun fact?
Always.
The revolver is almost 200 years old.
Oh. Huh.
It was first introduced into the world in, I think, mid 1830s.
Mm-hmm.
Manufactured in New York by Samuel Colt, and at the time, Texas Rangers were struggling to fight the Comanche Indians down in the top part of Texas, Midwest of the state. Well, yeah, Mid-East state part of the state, and they were trying to figure out ways to combat and get a leg up because they were tired of getting their asses kicked.
Uh-huh.
Well, word got back to the Texas Rangers that there's this new gun that had came out in New York, been struggling a little bit. So eventually, as always, word of mouth got back down to Texas. And so one of the dudes that was part of the Texas Rangers wrote to Samuel Colt, and he came down to Texas, helped fund the Texas Rangers money, supply them with revolvers. The dude helped basically like upgrade the original weapon. Like he gave bullet points on like how to make the cylinder faster, have a faster like fire rate, whatever you could think of. He knew what it needed to be better. And once they made it somewhat what it is now, they started getting a leg up on the Native Americans because the Native Americans they were good at raids, and they were good at just stealing, robbing, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they never had to face somebody that was as dirty and demented as what they were. And that's what the Texas Rangers were, especially during the 1830s, because they were just sadistic, ruthless sons of bitches that were willing to do something, like literally commit suicide to try and exterminate these Native Americans. And eventually they succeed, but at that point, they switched the favor. It was like WWE returning with the Attitude Era, like Stone Cold Vince McMahon angle, to the WCW's NWO 82 week straight rating win.
Right on.
It was kind of like that's the best analogy I could think of in that story. And the Texas Rangers eventually disbanded and was called back again to assemble, and this cycle kind of repeated. And you want to know another fun fact? Because this is all from the book.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
it's coming from somewhere, because, Lord.
Yeah. But dude, but with this book, the only reason you and I are like come from like Irish, English heritage. Not assuming you're like full nationality, but I'm just going off of presumptual looks.
I have no
And
clue, honestly. So I'll take your word for
well,
it.
through like the most common like white ancestry you could have, like Irish, Scottish, whatever. If it wasn't for the Native Americans and Anglo Saxons and Mexican Americans not really comprehending war at that time, right before the Louisiana Purchase, we wouldn't be who we are. We would have like a little bit of maybe some extra French, some Native American, or some Spanish in us instead of who we are now.
How about that? See, y'all
But
got an
because
education out of this as well.
reading sometimes, you know what I mean?
There you go. I hear they're out there. I gotta finish my Young Bucks book sometime. I'll read the
Learn,
bottom.
kill the business, huh?
I will master it, and I will start with West Virginia because I'm
Shit,
scorned and I'm hateful.
shit, dog. That's this pipeline of wrestling's been on life support for the last 20 years.
It never was alive.
At one point, I'd think it was, but that's above my knowledge that I can't really have too much of a conversation on because I don't know, and I'm not going to speak on something I don't know.
There was actually TV wrestling up in Oak Hill. It came out of Oak Hill. I want to learn more about that. We're going to look into that sometime. We're going to call in our Benny Conleys and our Oak Hill gang and see what we can find out about this TV wrestling that went on in Oak Hill.
Because I don't know how true this is. This came from my uncle that passed away, but he told me one night that his grandmother, my great grandmother, used to wrestle back in the day. How
Okay.
true? I'm not too sure. I don't know her wrestling name or anything of that nature. He told me that, and he's always been like kind of like a straight shooter. He's like more of an asshole version of me.
Okay.
And he, so I don't think he'd ever steer me wrong, but I don't know for sure. I was never showed like proof, so I can't 100% say for certain that it's true.
Well, they told me my great grandmother watched wrestling. So see how it's went down the line. Your grandmother wrestled. You wrestle. My grandmother was really good at watching wrestling, and here I am. So
You are being a podcaster and an announcer.
yeah. So many other things, Dakota. We don't have time to list off all my accomplishments in 2 short years. So we won't do that. We'll save that for the Roni Awards. It ain't fucking happening because ain't none of y'all nominating or doing shit. So fuck
I'll
the Ronies this year,
nominate.
Dakota.
I'll nominate myself for everything.
Yeah, you could have, and you could have won. That's all I got, Dakota. I gave you 13 extra minutes. We might as well stretch it to 15.
Oh, you're so
Let the folks know where they can find you. If they want to buy some merch, if they want to buy the book, anything you want to put out there, put it out there. But you got
Untold
2 minutes.
can be found on Amazon. The link is also in my Instagram. But at Dadcoda, dad.coda.
Why
And
do you go with Dad Coda when you're not dead?
because I've always had that dad vibe, even when I was younger, and I've always been mistakenly older for what I was. Even whenever I was in college, I wasn't getting carded as an
Okay.
18-year-old. So, and then I was working out one day with one of my gym bros, and he made the joke like "Dad Coda," and I was probably like decently stoned that day, and I was like, "That's fucking funny. I'm gonna steal that," and I just made it my Instagram handle, and it's been that ever since.
I was okay. See, I got answers to my own questions out of this. Good, because I did wonder. I was like, "Who? What? Ah, you ain't." Okay, fair enough. Anything else you want to put out there, good sir?
Sir, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I'm always down to talk again whenever you got time or whenever you're free.
I appreciate that. We'll have to
Don't,
do it again sometime since we're halfway getting along. Since I'm out of the business now, and you can't give me shit all the time.
well, stop getting in the way, and I won't have to give you shit. So,
It's a commentator. How much more further out of the way could I be?
uh,
And then you guys get a new Roman Cam man, and you're bitching at me about the Roman Cam man, and I'm the fucking commentator. I don't control him with a remote control or anything. What the fuck?
In my defense,
Uh-huh.
as far as I know, I never bitched about the new cameraman.
Well, I think it was Duff,
have-
honestly. Yeah, it was Duff that bitched at me about the Roman Cam guy. And I'm like, dude, I'm over here.
I think they expected you to have some sort of like psychic powers, and you could just, Professor X your way into their mind and be like, all right, young one, do this. And then you could just move them for them while you're simultaneously talking at the same time.
I did well to operate my own mind, let alone somebody else's. I struggled most of the time with that. It's been a long one. We went too long, but it's a pleasure, sir. Happily have you back in the future. I'll ask you to hang on the line, Muscles. To the listeners, this is why we do it. Interesting folks with interesting talk. Still doing the damn thing. We're proud of you, Muscles. You get better with every match. To the listeners, go out there and live your dreams. Don't take no shit from no one. It's the holidays, to treat each other with kindness and respect. As far as what's coming down the pike on the Roni, I really don't fucking know at this point. I know we'll have some more XBW TV and random old stuff that I can show from other promotions that I can show. So you'll have content one way or the other. Just hang in there. It's going to be a little weird for a while, but hey, man, that's what we do kind of best, right?
I always enjoy the weird things. The weird things, best things.
It's about to get weird, and I promise you, Muscles, 2025, oh my God, you ain't even ready for what we can about to do in 2025.
Hey, you said weird? I'm interested.
Kind of look like John C. Riley. That was crazy. We love you. We're out of here.